So, I have a bit of explaining to do. You see, when I first did this video, I showed off all the guns I wanted to show off, but my mic wasn't on.
Bruh.
Basically, I just wasted an hour for nothing. I know, that was dumb of me. I should have made sure it was on. But that's neither here nor there, so I'm just gonna make this whole video again and pretend I haven't made it before. So, what's up guys, Tempest here, and I'm back to show off some more Warframe weapons. I figured since the video did so well as it could at this point in my YouTube career, that I should make another one. This time we're gonna focus on bullet hoses, the full autos. Now before we get to that, I have to go over a few things. First things first. Since the last time I did this, my mastery rank went up. I am now legendary rank 2, which means I can test weapons on tougher enemies here in the simulacrum. As of the recording of this video, it is the Jade Constellations update, which means there's been new arcanes since the last time I did this video, and there's one in particular I want to show off. And as you can see, I recently got myself Stynex Prime, who I haven't got around to using yet. I also got Sirius and Orion too, so there's that. We're not going to be using any of them for this video. Just like the first weapons video, I'm going to be using my Excalibur. In fact, let's change into him very quick. Returning from my first weapons video, go watch that if you haven't yet, by the way. My Excalibur is bare bones. He has 2 shards installed that are not relevant to the tests of this video. And on top of that, I'm not using mods or arcanes in this build. And, nor am I using a companion. What we're going to be showing off is just the weapon's performance by itself. Now to kick off this video, I figured it appropriate we have a benchmark. And for that we're going to be using a familiar gun, the Dara Vandal. I haven't seen this weapon in action yet. Basically, I turned this into a bullet hose that can fire through stuff and for freaking ever. This does have an incarnate form. I'm using 20% ammo efficiency for 5 seconds, on kill, plus 50% projectile speed, and increase of base critical chance. And the build for it looks like this. Same as last time, it's a primary crux build with prime shred, viral, galvanized aptitude, and heat to round it off. Oh, and as a side note, I'm not using any ribbons either, because I know not everyone's going to have good ribbons for the weapons we're going to be showing off. Or rather, I'm going to be showing off. But one thing I will say in regards to the Dara Vandal, since it has a ribbon disposition of 5, as you can see here, that means the mods for this are going to be very potent. Now, the only way this build I feel could get any better is if you can somehow replace 2 mods in this build and slip in, no, not aptitude, Rifle Elementalist, for that increase in status damage, since we are going to be proccing heat on top of viral. In case you need a reminder of what Primary Crux does, is that on a weak point hit, you gain plus 30% status chance and plus 6% ammo efficiency for 10 seconds. So basically, as long as we're landing our shots, we're going to be proccing tons of status, and our magazine is pretty much bottomless. Now this time around, I went ahead and gone a bit more systematic with my tests. As you can see here, I have an assortment of victims to test the guns on. What? Oops, I mean volunteers. Yeah, let's go with that.
What the fuck?
I have a bunch of volunteers here to showcase the power of all these guns. Now, unlike last time where we just did it in a working battle group and then did Eximus enemies afterwards, this time around I decided to mix the two. That way we have a nice mix of enemies. Now, unfortunately, due to the way the simulacrum works, I can't really arrange them very well, so as a result, most of the tougher targets are in front, and the squishy ones are at the back. Hey, DE, if you're listening to this, let us change the position of our test subjects, please. Oh, and finally, we are on Steel Path Modifier, level 215, which at my current mastery rank is the highest we can go. Okay, enough yapping, let's get to shooting. So what does the Dara Vandal do? Only this. If you look at my ammo counter, it's barely going down. Yet we are tearing through these guys. And it's super stable too, like almost no recoil. As you can see, it cleans them up very nice. Yeah, if a full auto rifle can't compare to this, it's not really worth using in my opinion. Oh, and I didn't even mention it has an incarnate form, so let's show that off. Spawn back in, get crux going, and we go into incarnate mode. As you can see, Yeah, it chunks through them. There's no reason not to use the incarnate form. But I find it more fun just to squeeze the trigger down and just unload a bunch of bullets. Or plasma bolts, whatever this thing fires. As you can see, both modes clear the test with relative ease. So there we have it. We have our baseline. Yeah, the Dare Vandal is very nice. You should get one. Next, I want to talk about something relevant to you new players, and that is the Bratton Prime. You can easily farm for this gun. It never gets vaulted, so you can easily do relic missions for it. Actually, they're called Void Fishers, but you need relics to get the parts. And there's a nice progression. The Mark 1 Bratton, to the regular Bratton, and then to the Bratton Prime. I'm not counting the Bratton Vandal because that's super hard to get. And once you get the incarnate version for this, it becomes even better. Now, in terms of evolutions, I have Daring Reverie. Evo 3, I have Void's Guidance. And for the final evolution, I went all in on Crit, with Critical Parallel. And the build looks like this. Yeah, this time around, we're not using Crux, we are using Deadhead. Because I find even with Prime Shred, the Bratton Prime doesn't really fire fast enough to warrant using Crux. Aside from that, it's pretty much the same build. Except instead of Hellfire, we're using Thermite rounds. And 4 out of 4 Riven disposition is not bad either. Now let's show this off. Spawn back in our victims, volunteers. And let's squeeze the trigger down. See, the gun is super stable, and once you get Deadhead going, it eats through these guys like it's its job. Let's try the incarnate form, and it's basically becomes an automatic shotgun. Yeah, the Bratton Prime's nothing to scoff at. It's super easy to get too, so there's no reason not to get it. You new players are not going to be disappointed. Now for a different flavor of bullet hose, we have the Boltar Prime. And unfortunately, unlike the Bratton, this occasionally gets vaulted from time to time. So you should try and get it whenever it gets unvaulted. I believe it comes with Rhino Prime or something like that. Yeah, I think I'm right there. But thankfully, this too has an incarnate form. Not all these guns are incarnates, I swear. For our evolutions, I have Crimson Overture for increased base damage and ammo efficiency. Notice the trend here. I have increased projectile speed, and I have increased base critical chance. Now you might look at that 78% critical chance and say, that's not very much. But trust me, that's more than enough. And here's the build, and well, you know, it's another Crux build. I'm also running Prime Stabilizer because this thing shakes the camera like no one's business. But aside from that, it's pretty much the same build as the Dare Vandal. And like the Bratton Prime, it has a 4 out of 4 Riven dispo. So yeah, so let's show this off. Spawn them back in. And here we go. Like the Bratton, it takes a while to spool up. Once it builds up, yeah, there's no stopping this thing. I can just keep the trigger held down the whole time and, yep, it'll all go down. And thanks to Prime Shred, we're getting some AoE. Yeah. And we haven't even gotten to the incarnate form yet. Let's show that off. Oh yeah, this kills him considerably faster. Wasn't quite enough to finish them off, but they're either dead or dying. Delivering death by 1,000 spikes. Now for our first non-incarnate weapon. It's an AK. Or technically it's the AX-52. But to me it's an AK. To those of you who don't know where to get this gun, you get it from Albania. Now I feel we need to talk about this gun because this comes with a special thing. And that comes in the form of an augment. Biotic rounds can be equipped on this gun. What it does is on weak point kill, it adds viral and magnetic damage to the weapon, and while also increasing your status chance along with it. Basically sliding this in replaces so many mods that would otherwise be here. That way we can just run Heat along with Elementalist, and we're okay for damage on that front. Since I already have Punish Through on this thing, I went with Vital Acceleration instead of Prime Shred. And to keep us on target, I'm using Prime Stabilizer. And believe me, you're going to need this. And also, as far as I know, this doesn't work on a status kill. Hence, we're not using Crux along with Elementalist. Now, one thing to note about Biotic Rounds is that it comes from Nightwave. I don't think this has been sold in a while. You're either going to have to wait or cough up the platinum for it. So how does it do with all this? Well, let me show you. And the Fear is just an AK. We're going to be reloading this thing quite a bit, but it kills enemies quickly. See how it is on the Eximus enemy? Thanks to those magnetic procs, it eats through Overguard. If you can somehow increase the magazine size on this thing, this will be even better. So there you go, that's the AX-52. In a similar vein, we have the Jupiter, the EFV-5 Jupiter. You also get this from Hulvania. This differs from the AX in the fact that it has base corrosive damage. And like the AX, we're using Deadhead on this. Otherwise, it's the same build as the Bratton, except I'm using Galvanized Scope. Honestly, I don't even know why I'm using this. Hey, if you don't like it, you can always slap on Critical Delay. Personally, I just can't stand the loss of fire rate on this. Even with Prime Shred, it's a bit slow. Oh, and this thing also has an alt fire that fires buckshot, but I found it to not be very effective. To show this off, spawn back in, and start cleaning these guys up. See, it's a bit slower than the AX, but it chunks through them nicely, because thanks to corrosive, we're also removing their armor. Let's try an Eximus enemy here. Almost an energy. Let's try the buckshot real quick. Yeah, that's probably why I didn't use Critical Delay. Or just slow otherwise. But yeah, that's the Jupiter. Next on the chopping block is the Soma Prime. And in my humble opinion, if you want a minigun feeling, well, AR, then this is what you should be using. Just spray and pray. This also comes with an incarnate form. In terms of evolution, I'm using Fortress Salvo, Rapid Reinforcement, and Zeroed In. Now, one thing to note with this weapon is that you don't have much status chance to work with. But boy, is your critical damage so high. And here's the build. I'm not bothering with a crux this time. We are running Deadhead. We're going to be dipping into our crits even further with set bonus from Vigilante supplies. Now this gun can get ammo hungry, so if you want to use a fully ranked one, go right ahead. I'm personally using Prime Shred since Excal doesn't have over 450 armor. But if you are using a Warframe that has that, feel free to swap this out for Vile Acceleration, because the more fire rate the better. Maybe I should do a video about fire rate. Let's put a pin in that. Okay, let's get to spraying. Here they come again.
Please, no! No!
Hardened form. Primary fire was okay, but this is where you want to be. It's an even faster automatic shotgun like the Bratton. And I still got more ammo here, so why don't we spawn them back in? Yep, you want to be landing your headshots. We're out, so let's go back to primary fire. Try it super quick. And they all go down. So yeah, that's the Soma Prime. In a similar vein to the Soma Prime, we have the Prismagorgon, which, like the Soma, I believe feels the most like a minigun. But personally, I haven't used it very much. I'm running Hoplite Virtue on that Evo 2, Void's Guidance for less recoil, and I increased the base status chance. And here's the build. As you can see, I haven't invested in it very much. I'm running Primary Crux, and I'm running Serration. Yeah, in case you haven't figured it out, you're going to see more or less the same build. Punch through on automatic guns I feel is always a must. There are some exceptions to that though. And to show off what this incarnate will do, let's spawn back in our broken test dummies. La-da-da, la-da-da. And we're all charged up. Eating through them pretty nicely. It's just so fun to keep the trigger held down. Let's go into incarnate form. I want to be shooting directly at these enemies. As you can see, it mops up the regular enemies just fine, but the Eximus are going to take a hot minute. If you are going to be using the incarnate form, I suggest using a dull energy color. Otherwise, you keep flashbanging yourself, and that's no fun. Now, flipping the script a little, I want to talk about the Exceltra Prime. Because an arcane recently came out, I felt paired with this gun pretty well. Now, there are a lot of players of Warframe that really love the Exceltra Prime, but I'm not one of them. This gun is less an AR and more rapid missile launcher. As a result, it can't get punched through, on top of other issues, which I'll get into. So here's the build. For the arcane, I'm using the new one that came with the Jade update, Primary Compression. Since this is technically an explosive weapon. At max rank, on aim, you reduce your explosion radius by, I believe that's 80%. Yeah, I can do math. But we get increased base damage, and we gain ammo efficiency for every 1 meter radius lost. But we do have to be aiming the gun. I've been playing around with the build a little bit, and I made the mistake of using primed Firestorm, which, where is it? Here. Increases the blast of radial attacks by 44%. Yeah, I was using this instead of Serration, and I found that Serration actually works better for this build. So yeah, don't make the same mistake I did. And on top of that, I'm not using any fire rate mods. I am using critical delay, which decreases our fire rate in exchange for a 200% critical chance. Now, I feel that restraint of fire rate is necessary, considering the main issue with this gun. Now, I'm also using Hammer Shot for more crit damage and more status chance, which I feel really helps the weapon out. I'm running fully ranked Vigilante supplies, not just for the crit bonus, but also for the ammo conversion. Because this thing has like no ammo to use. You're always going to be strained for ammo with this gun. So I feel at bare minimum, you should be running Vigilante supplies. If not that, then rifle ammo mutation. Primed if you really love spraying and praying. So yeah, let's see what this new arcane can do. Spawn back into our Broken Battle group. Yeah, it deals with regular enemies very well. Even on these Eximus enemies, chunks through them nicely. And the Exceltra has this weird perk where the explosion pushes back enemies. Since your explosion radius goes down, this doesn't become a factor. Should be burned to death. As you can see, that was a pretty good performance. But look at the bottom right of the screen. You see the main issue with this weapon? I'm out of ammo. Yeah, for that reason, I don't really like this gun. I don't want to have to keep worrying about my ammo. I want to be constantly shooting. So yeah, that's the Exceltra Prime. It's a bit of a problem child. But hey, it gets the job done. On a more impressive note, we have the Recon effects. An LMG-style weapon, and one with a very special perk to it. Like the AX and the Jupiter before it, you also get this from Hulvania. And I'd say out of all of them, this is one worth keeping. Now you're going to look at this build and see, wait a minute, I'm not running heat, even though I'm running primary crux. Well, that's where the special trait of the weapon comes in, which, on perfect reload, it grants heat damage to the magazine, and is a guaranteed status proc. So not needing to run heat on the build frees us up for magnetic capacity. This not only boosts our magazine capacity, also this puts magnetic damage on the weapon, and magnetic damage will help remove overguard. Other than that, it's the same viral setup, frame shred for fire rate and punch through, galvanized aptitude for status chance and increasing damage. Oh yeah, all these have multi-shot, I feel like I should mention. And on this gun I'm running galvanized scope, but if you don't want to use this, use critical delay, it's fine. And as I said before, I'm using primary crux. If you're wondering what to put in this Exilus slot, an unranked Vigilante supplies is perfect. You don't need any recoil mitigation, because I feel the gun is stable enough as is. Now, let's see what this baby can do. First, I'm going to take a few shots, just plain. As you can see, not bad. Plus, you have a lot of rounds to work with. That took a bit of time, but if we reload and time it perfectly, we now have heat damage. Now what? Some enemies in your way? Well, screw them in their overguard. We have over half our magazine left. And it's refreshable. Yeah, this thing puts in work. Now I do have an alternative setup. This one, instead of relying on cold and corrosive, with primary frostbite. And this time around, I am using critical delay. I mainly use such builds if I'm running Nourish on any of my Warframes, because just using that ability gives you viral damage by default on everything you do. So yeah, let's show this off. Spawn back into our enemies. Enemies are losing armor, they're getting slowed by cold. And cold procs are increasing our crits. And to top it all off, we just give ourselves heat damage and go to town. It takes slightly longer to get the overguard, but not by much. Plus, once their overguard is gone, you freeze them solid. There's nothing they can do against you. So yeah, that's the recon effects. Very versatile full auto. Next up, I want to show off a unique weapon, and that's the Aeolac. Most of you have probably never heard of it, but basically the way you get this gun is first by doing the Zeraman bounties. That drops the blueprint, which is a rare drop. And then you have to go into the game modes themselves and farm for the parts. Now say you do all that, what is it you're actually getting? So basically, you're getting an AR that has base radiation damage and an alt fire. Honestly, I forget this thing even has an alt fire. But with this setup, you do have a 99% status chance. It's another viral heat setup, and one that uses Deadhead. Now, the energy bullets from this thing do have a bit of travel time, and yeah, that can get a bit annoying. If you find yourself not able to land your shots, maybe replace Vigilante supplies with Lethal Momentum, was it? I believe it's Lethal Momentum. No, it's Terminal Velocity. What am I saying? Yeah, slap this on if you find the travel time of the bullets irks you. So for now, we're just going to show this off as is. Now, the Orokin enemies are resistant to radiation, but once we get viral heat going, it shouldn't be much of a problem. And if you do land your headshots, it chunks through them.
Oh no!
Let's reload. It's the alt fire. And you want to be landing direct shots with that. So yeah, that's the Aeolac. Funky little gun, but it puts in work. If you do have the stones to grind for it, you can see for yourself whether or not you like it. Throwing another curveball, we have the Prismatic Granada. And this is less of a showcase and more of a plea to DE to give us an incarnate for this gun. But once we get the Tigress Incarnate next year, I hope this comes for the Gurkhata. Currently, this is what it looks like. And you'll notice this time I am using primary acuity. And there's a reason for that. It's because otherwise I wouldn't be able to fit magnetic capacity. I feel this thing badly needs it because it struggles with Eximus enemies. And also having primary acuity means we don't have to run a crit mod as long as we're landing our shots. That's why I have Prime Stabilizer here. Oh, and ignore this not max rank rhyme rounds. I really don't want to spend another format to max this out. Now I am also running thermite rounds and galvanized aptitude for more status. And along with Crux, so we can just keep firing and gain even more status chance. As well as extend our magazine. I really want an incarnate for the Prismatic Granada so I can go back to having multi-shot on this thing. And then hopefully not need magnetic capacity. To see what this setup does, we're going to test it out. Spawn it back in. And you see, even without multi-shot, it's still pretty good. Prime Stabilizer is pretty much required on this gun. Otherwise, you won't be able to go for those headshots. See, we'll be bouncing like crazy. Oh boy, does this thing make a nice sound when you fire it. So yeah, anyone from DE listening, please give us a Grakata incarnate at some point. Pretty please. Next up is the God of a Prime. Now, unlike most primes in the game, you don't actually farm for this one. You have to wait for a borrow to sell it. So stock up on Ducats. But if you do buy this gun, let me tell you what you can get out of it. Now, the thing with the God of a Prime is that it comes with a unique trait where after inflicting a status effect, your next shot has a 15% chance to have a critical chance of exactly 300%. So because of that, cranked my status chance to almost 100%. Yeah, between aptitude, rhyme rounds, malignant force, and thermite rounds, we are over 97% status chance. Top it off, magnetic capacity not only deal with overguard, but also extend our magazine. You have even more chances to proc the trait. I am also running primary deadhead, because the crits we're going to be getting are going to be boosted even higher thanks to the increased headshot multiplier. FYI, I did try Crux with this build, and it didn't work out very well. So deadhead it is. Now let's see what this bad boy can do. If I'm not mistaken, this gun used to be a Tenocon drop for our Prime too. Here we go. It feels a lot like a Bratton, doesn't it? I think that was the point. Reload is a bit longer than I would like, but thanks to increased magnetic capacity, we're not running into that reload all that often, so it's fine. So yeah, I definitely didn't struggle there. And plus, who doesn't love seeing red crits? I sure do. So we're getting near the end here, and I have 2 more guns to show off. Firstly, I want to talk about the Fenmore. Now for you Warframe veterans watching and thinking, wait a minute, the Fenmore is not an AR? That's correct. It is technically an IR. However, its incarnate form, oh boy, it's a bullet hose. And a pretty damn good one. Plus, with my video, I make the rules, so I'm talking about it. Besides, I had the Fenmore in the thumbnail for my last video, and I didn't test it out. Now I have an excuse. Okay, listen up, new players. You get the Fenmore on the Zeraman. Rank up, get some standing, and then the Fenmore is yours. And by default, it comes with this incarnate adapter. On my Evolution 2, I have increased projectile speed. Evolution 3, I have a higher magazine capacity, plus 20% status chance, but minus 10% critical chance. You'll see why in a second. And most importantly, on my final evolution, I'm running a trait called Devouring Attrition. And what this does is you have a 50% chance to deal plus 2,000 damage on non-critical hits. Hence why I'm running Elemental Excess. And with this setup, this puts us at a critical chance of a measly 10%. Now you can go lower than that with a riven disposition of exactly 1, and the rivens are not very impactful on this gun. Now I have 2 builds I want to show off for this. Both revolve around the incarnate form. And since our crit chance is so low, we're not running critical damage either. Instead, we are running Viral and Heat, along with Rifle Elementalist, and to make sure we're pumping out as many bullets as possible, we're running Vial Acceleration. I have Prime Stabilizer here to manage the recoil. This is more than you get from the evolutions, by the way. And for Arcane, I am not running Deadhead or Crux. I am running Primary Merciless. Now, this is not the best option on most guns, but it is a very safe option. Basically, you build up damage per kill, plus you gain extra reload speed. Since this is more of a crowd-clearing weapon in its incarnate form, I feel it's appropriate to have this. Now, I'm going to show off the Viral Heat build first. And for that, we're going to spawn back into our test subjects. Now, as I've said, the primary fire rate makes it feel more like an IR. But with enough fire rate, it feels like an automatic. As you can see at base, it already does pretty well against them. You might not even need the incarnate form. And thanks to Merciless, your downtime is very low. But before I go forward and show the incarnate off, it is worth noting that the Fenmore is technically not a full auto gun. However, it is semi-auto, which means if you go into your accessibility menu and check out fire manual trigger weapons continuously, any gun that's semi-auto will feel like a full auto gun, which means you don't have to constantly tap the trigger or button if you're on keyboard. Veterans, New players, this all applies to you. Turn this on. Now with that out of the way, let's go into incarnate form. Spawn back in. This time I'm going to start in incarnate form. And now we have a minigun. Just keep the trigger held down. Still going. Still going. Still going. And they're all gone. You know, I have some shots left, so let's spawn them back in. Now let's hold the trigger again. It's worth noting in the incarnate form, you fire very fast at first, then you gradually slow down. Spawn back in. Oh wait, they're all dead already. Whoops. You know what? I'm having fun with this. Let's do that again. Yeah, bile acceleration is really counteracting that loss of fire rate. Plus, thanks to Merciless, we are building up damage per kill. Like Trapper Punch Through for AoE. Yeah, you can just lane opponents with this. See? You fire this thing for a long time, even with the added fire rate. Yeah, the Fenmore is easy to get. You don't have to trade, pay plat for it. Pretty much as good as yours once you get to the Zeraman. It's a be-all, do-all weapon. And to show off the quirkier build I have on the Fenmore. And this is it. And you're going to see a few things that are unusual on this. First off, I am running Blast Corrosive instead of Viral Heat. And on top of that, I am not using all the 60/60 mods. For cold, I am using primed cryo rounds. And this leans my status procs more into Blast than Corrosive. I am running Elementalist same as before, along with Vital Acceleration, but this time around I am not running Merciless. I'm using Primary Debilitate. Basically what it does is that if an enemy has 10 stacks of a combined status effect, inflicting that same status effect again will instead inflict the base element it is composed of. Now mind you, this doesn't work on Blast because once you get 10 Blast procs, you get the Blast effect and then it goes away. However, this does work on Corrosive, which is made up of Electricity and Toxin. So basically, once we get 10 Corrosive stacks on an enemy, and mind you, it's easy to build status with a 92% status chance, eventually we'll be getting both Electricity and Toxin. We'll be getting Toxin for some damage over time. The real kicker is Electricity, which, if you pair it Blast, is actually very, very devastating. And even better, both Blast and Electricity, along with Toxin, are positively influenced by Elementalist. Thanks to this mod, those status effects will be doing almost double damage they would normally. Plus we still get Punch Through on this gun, which means the incarnate form becomes an AoE monster. Ultimate crowd clearing weapon. So yeah, that was a lot of words. But just so you better understand, let's go show off the gun with this build. Come back in our victims. What? I mean, volunteers. Let's build this up first. Go into incarnate form and start laning them. These enemies were more tighter grouped together than they currently are. You would see these black procs really coming into their own. As you can see, we're getting a bunch of status that time, so let's try this again. There, entire lane gone in an instant.
Now that's a lot of damage!
I think you might be burning to death. Yep. That was enough for 2 rounds of enemies. So yeah, you should definitely invest in the Fenmore. You can do a lot with it, as long as it's not crits. Finally, to an explosive finale to this video, I'm going to be showing off the Trumna Prime. So like with the regular build for the Fenmore, I am running Merciless, but there's a reason for that. The Trumna Prime has an alt fire where you first charge it up with the primary fire by getting kills, then clicking the alt fire launches a bouncing projectile that explodes on everything it touches. Now I am running galvanized aptitude on this build, but unfortunately the secondary effect, aka the on-kill effect, doesn't work on the explosion itself. It still works on the primary fire, hence why I kept it in here. Primary Merciless is here so that once damage is built up, that will be what will go into our alt fire. Now I am running in Vial Acceleration instead of Shred because the Trumna Prime can't get any punch through. And as you can see, it's another viral heat build. 100% status chance even with Hellfire, and not Thermite rounds. Primary Merciless is also helping with that reload because without it, this would be like 4 or even 5 seconds or something. 3's more tolerable. But we do have a massive magazine, and we're using Prime Stabilizer to tame that recoil. Pair this all together, and you get what is possibly the most destructive bullet hose in the game. But hey, don't take my word for it. Allow me to show it off. Now for the final time, let's spawn back in our victims.
What the fuck?
Let's start off nice and easy with this. Mop up the ads. As you can see, these heat blocks are building with every hit. Let's try it on an Eximus enemy. He's dead. With the enemies all grouped up like this, we're fully charged, and we can click the delete button.
NANI?
He's burned to death, and he's gone. And would you look at that? I still have over 100 shots left. Let's keep going. Spawning back in. Merciless is still built up. Charged up. But I'm still going. And wait for the reload, and alt fire. Yeah, you want to be running Prime sure-footed when you have this thing, or it'll backfire on you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all the guns I wanted to cover today. Hopefully when it comes to bullet hoses, you know which ones you want to invest in. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and go watch my other Warframe videos once you got the time for it. Believe me, I can use the views. Till then, I'm pissed out.